Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino Beer Review. Today, the Rhino will be looking at a beer. What beer should I look at? You know what? This one. I'm worried that this one's gone bad, so we're going to look at this one. This was a beer that I've been told was in one of the craft beer advent calendars in Alberta. This beer was sent to me by Jordan from Reviewing Under Influence, so thank you very much, Jordan. Now, I have actually had a beer by these guys before, and I actually did a fairly long review about that beer. They sent me two different variants of the same beer, two different brewings of it. And one of them was fairly buttery, and the other one was overcarbonated, infected, and exploded. Neither of them were really bad beers. They just weren't well-made beers, at least to my thoughts. And I mean, that's not bad because they were still drinkable. It wasn't like I couldn't drink them, and I did drink them. They just weren't the greatest things I'd had or anything like that. But it was close to the first time this brewery existed. Now, this beer, I find it funny that it's in an advent calendar in Alberta, but this brewery is almost non-existent in Ontario if you're not in Strathroy. So this is Strathroy Brewing Company's 1815 Peacemaker. So there we go, Strathroy Brewing Company's 1815 Peacemaker. I had their, I don't know if it was a golden ale or a pilsner or what it was that they were trying to do. This is a strong beer. It looks like 6.0%. Okay, so Strathroy Brewing Company. So again, I had their golden. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was drinkable. I'm curious about this though. Okay, I had some carbonation left, not much. A little bit of carbonation grew in the neck, a little tiny bit. So, unfortunately, I must say this beer is probably close to the end of its life. I'm not getting it fresh. If it wasn't in the advent calendar, by the time Jordan got it, it was probably already a couple months old, and now it's March. So I'm gonna guess it's about a 5-month-old beer. Nice head though. Nice head. Nice color, deep mahogany brown. I know it looks black, but it's a deep mahogany brown. Again, nice head. Smell. Okay, out of the bottle, just getting some nice malts, a little bit of caramel, and a touch of chocolate. So, the bottle doesn't smell bad, but the glass, I'm getting a little bit of chocolate and like a cherry note. Intriguing. I did not expect to get cherries at all in this beer. Intriguing to smell that. So it would be time to try it. So let's try the beer. Cheers. 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 I'm scared to drink it. Okay, very soft. Very soft, in the immortal words of my buddy Paul from PA Brew News. A little thin. Other than that, it's a fine dark / porter. I mean, a nice deep dark roasty flavor. A roasty flavor that goes all the way through to the end. Like the bitterness on the end is just like burnt wood. So like scorched wood. Burnt sugars up at the forefront, like caramelized sugars as the sweetness up at the forefront, and like again burnt molasses and burnt wood on the back end. Other than those two tastes, there's not much. There is a tiny touch of an alcohol burn, which there really shouldn't be in a 6% alcohol beer, but there is a tiny touch of that. It might be the beer's too thin to hide that, I don't know. But I'll give you this. At probably about 5 or 6 months old, nothing is starting to show. And I mean, that was my problem with the first beers I had. His first batches, that you could, the older ones, the really buttery ones, were showing age, and the not so buttery ones were exploding. And this is the greatest thing about doing this, where you can do this months later, years later. You can see the evolution of a brewery. The guys at Strathroy have gotten their beer shelf stable enough that 4 or 5 months later, it still tastes pretty damn good. They've gotten their stuff set up properly, where I'm going to guess that they're forced carbonating now, or if it's natural carbonation, they're still not bottle carbing, because they're oh wait, yeah, they're bottle carbing. So they've gotten their measurements right, because here, look, I don't know if the camera's going to see that, but look at the schmutz in the bottom of that bottle. You might be able to see in the bottle too. There's the camera right there. There is a lot of schmutz in there. There is a layer of dead yeast and sugars just laying on the bottom there. And I mean, that was something the original bottles I had were just filled with, the ones that were exploding at least were just filled with splooge at the bottom. I actually like this beer though. The more I'm drinking it, there is a little bit of like a grapefruit flavor coming out on it as well. So now I'm getting a tiny bit more to the profile than I was before. I'd give this a 6.75 out of 10. This isn't a bad beer. I don't see myself going out and purchasing it unless I'm in Strathroy and there's not really anything else for me to purchase. But it's not a bad beer. I could see myself drinking it, and I could recommend it for people to try. So this was the Strathroy Brewing Company's 1815 Peacemaker. It's not a bad beer at all. And it can't be anything but better fresh. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful, splendiferous evening. Bye-bye.